All right, you bastards, welcome back to another deep dive. And today we're looking at some seriously fucked up Disney shit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're talking about an abandoned island right in the middle of Disney World.
Hmm.
You heard that right. An entire fucking island just left to rot.
Wow.
Who the hell does that?
Well, it's a pretty intriguing story, actually, and to really understand why Disney would just abandon a piece of prime real estate like that, we need to go back to the beginning.
All right, let's cut the crap and get to it. This island had a life before Mickey Mouse waltzed in, right?
Oh, yeah, it definitely did back in the early 1900s. It was known as Raz Island, named after some family who lived there.
Raz Island.
Yeah, can you imagine living on an island that would later become part of the goddamn Magic Kingdom? To talk about a trip.
Seriously, what a mindfuck.
Yeah.
So these Raz folks, they were just chilling on their own private island, living the good life.
Not exactly. They eventually sold the island and it went through a few more name changes. Idle Bay, Isle Riles Island, before this dude named Delmar Radio Nick Nicholson came along.
Radio Nick, what kind of a Mickey Mouse name is that?
Hold on, it gets better. This guy buys the island in the late 1930s for a measly $800, renames it Idle Bay Isle, and decides to live there with his wife and a pet crane.
A fucking crane, are you shitting me?
Nope. Totally true. Apparently, Radio Nick was a bit of an eccentric character. He grew exotic plants, lived off the grid, and had this pet crane just strutting around the island.
Talk about a far cry from the Disney-fied bullshit we see today.
I know, right?
So how the hell did Disney get their grubby little mittens on this island anyway?
Yeah.
Did they just kick Radio Nick and his crane to the curb?
Not quite. Disney acquired the island in 1965 as part of a massive land grab for their whole Disney World project.
Yeah.
And, you know, the island wasn't originally intended to be a zoo.
Wait, so what the fuck was it supposed to be, a giant teacup ride?
Funny, it actually opened to the public in 1974 under the name Treasure Island.
Treasure Island.
The idea was that visitors could observe the natural wildlife, get a glimpse of what Florida was like before the mouse took over. It wasn't until later that they transformed it into a full-blown zoo and renamed it Discovery Island.
Treasure Island. That sounds way cooler than Discovery Island, let's be honest.
I know, right?
So they were trying to pull some pirate bullshit at first. What made them switch gears and turn it into a goddamn zoo?
Well, it's hard to say for sure. Maybe they realized pirates weren't exactly family-friendly enough, or maybe they just saw an opportunity to cash in on the whole animal craze, whatever the reason they went all in on the zoo thing. But it wasn't without its share of controversies.
Controversies, you mean, besides the fact that they were keeping wild animals in cages for people to gawk at?
Yeah, there's that, but there were some specific incidents that really raised questions about Disney's animal care practices.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in 1987, the last known dusky seaside sparrow died on the island.
Mm.
Now, that's a tragedy in itself, but also brings up some uncomfortable questions about whether Disney could have done more to prevent its extinction.
So they're already responsible for wiping out an entire species. That's some pretty fucked up karma waiting to happen.
Yeah, it's not a good look, that's for sure. And then just a couple of years later, PETA comes knocking, accusing Disney of mistreating vultures that were landing on the island.
Vultures, what the?
They claimed Disney employees were capturing them inhumanely, which led to several deaths.
Those poor bastards.
Yeah.
Disney's all about that happiest place on earth.
Yeah.
Bullshit. But it sounds like they were running a goddamn death camp for animals.
Yeah.
So what happened? Did those corporate bastards get thrown in the slammer?
Not quite. They ended up settling the charges without admitting any guilt, of course.
Huh.
But it definitely put a big fat stain on their squeaky clean image.
Yeah, that'll teach them to mess with PETA. Those motherfuckers don't play around.
They certainly don't. But before we get too deep into the whole animal cruelty thing, I wanted to mention something a little lighter.
Oh,
Did you know they actually used Discovery Island as a filming location for a while?
wait, seriously? What, like some cheesy Disney Channel movie about a talking monkey?
Not exactly. It was for a movie called Treasure of Matecum, a Disney flick from the 70s.
Treasure of Matecum.
They used the island to stand in for the Florida Keys.
So there were pirates after all, kind of. But listen, let's get back to the real mystery here.
Okay.
This island has a shady past, a shitty zoo,
Yeah.
and some questionable animal practices. So what the hell happened? Why Disney just up and abandon the whole damn thing?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And to be honest, nobody really knows for sure. Disney never officially gave a reason for closing Discovery Island. All we know is that on April 8th, 1999, exactly 25 years after it opened, they just shut it down and walked away.
Just like that Poof gone seems pretty fucking suspicious, if you ask me.
It does, doesn't it? That there are a lot of rumors and theories floating around. Of course, some say it was simply too expensive to maintain, especially with the brand spanking new Animal Kingdom having opened a few years earlier.
Yeah, who needs a dinky little island when you've got a whole goddamn theme park dedicated to animals? But still, you'd think they could have done something with the place.
Right, they could have rethemed it, turned it into a resort, anything, but nope, they just left it to rot. Makes you wonder if they've got something else up their sleeve.
A secret Disney project now that's interesting. Or maybe they're just lazy as hell. Let's be real. It wouldn't be the first time a corporation let something valuable go to waste because they couldn't be bothered to put in the effort.
True corporate laziness is always a possibility, but there's one more theory we haven't discussed yet, and it's a doozy.
Okay.
They actually considered partnering with the creators of the video game Myst to turn the island into a real-life version of the game.
Hold the phone and Mist Island. What the fuck are you talking about? It's actually pretty badass.
It would have been something else.
Yeah.
Imagine exploring a replica of the island from the game-solving puzzles and covering secrets. I can see why they were intrigued by the concept.
Yeah, it would have been epic, so why didn't it happen?
Who knows? Maybe it was too ambitious, too expensive, or maybe those Disney execs just decided it wasn't family-friendly enough.
Damn shame. A Miss Island would have been the perfect way to redeem themselves after all the animal cruelty bullshit.
Maybe so, but for now, the Mist Island remains a tantalizing what-if in the bizarre history of Discovery Island.
So this island is just sitting there completely untouched, then like a creepy-ass ghost island in the middle of Disney World.
Pretty much it's still there, visible from certain spots around the resort, a haunting reminder of Disney's abandoned ambitions and maybe even a few pissed-off animal spirits.
Speaking of pissed off spirits, I bet there's some crazy stories about people sneaking onto the island, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There was even a guy who got arrested in 2020 for camping there. He called the island a tropical paradise and claimed he didn't realize it was off limits.
He didn't realize.
Yeah, that the allure of a forbidden Disney island is just too strong for some people.
A tropical paradise with all those rotting animal enclosures and hurricane damage. This dude must have been higher than a goddamn kite.
Perhaps he had a very active imagination, but it does make you wonder, what was it actually like to visit Discovery Island back in the day? What kind of menagerie did they have there?
Let's get into that. What kind of freak show were they running on this so-called Discovery Island?
Well, it wasn't exactly a freak show, but they did have a pretty eclectic mix of animals. You know, your typical zoo fare like flamingos and alligators. But they also had some more exotic shit like macaws, toucans, and lemurs.
Lemurs, those creepy little bastards from Madagascar.
Yeah.
What the hell were they thinking, putting those things on an island with tourists?
They had a designated area for the lemurs called Bamboo Hollow. And before you ask, no, they weren't just roaming free, terrorizing children.
All right.
They also had a massive breeding colony of scarlet ibis.
Scarlet? No, are those some kind of fancy-ass pigeons or what?
Not quite. They're a type of wading bird, bright red, really striking to look at. They had the largest breeding colony of scarlet ibis in the entire U.S., right there on Discovery Island. And let's not forget about those giant tortoises they had lumbering around.
Tortoises seriously sounds about as exciting as watching paint dry. Do they at least have any badass predators? You know, lions, tigers, bears, that kind of shit?
Not even close. The most dangerous creature they had was probably the American alligator, which, let's face it, is pretty standard for Florida. No lions, tigers, or bears on Discovery Island, just a bunch of birds. Monkeys and tortoises sounds like a real snooze fest, if you ask me.
You're telling me, so what the hell were people actually doing on this island? Do they have any shows or exhibits or anything remotely interesting?
Well, they did have a bird show called Parrot's Perch, which featured trained macaws, cockatoos, and other feathered performers. And they had a monkey colony, which I'm guessing was pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, I can imagine a bunch of monkeys flinging their shit at tourists.
Yeah.
Sounds like a typical day at Disney. Anything else?
They had Crane's Roost, where you could observe various types of cranes.
Cranes is a roost.
Yeah, they had the demoiselle crane, the sandhill crane, the gray-crowned crane, the whole shebang.
Cranes? Are you kidding me? They had a whole exhibit dedicated to those long-legged bastards. Who the hell wants to watch a crane all day?
Hey, cranes are graceful creatures. They have complex social structures, elaborate mating dances, and they play a vital role in their ecosystems.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever. I'm sure there are some bird nerds out there who would have loved it, but for the average person, I'm guessing Crane's Roost was about as exciting as watching grass grow.
Okay, so maybe Discovery Island wasn't the most thrilling zoo in the world, but it was a different time back then. You know, people were more into that back to nature kind of shit.
All right, so we've covered the history,
Yeah.
the bullshit controversies, the animals, the lame-ass attractions. But I'm still stuck on the big question. Why the fuck did Disney abandon this island? They could have at least bulldozed the whole thing and started fresh.
I know, right? It's like they just gave up on it, and that's what makes it so fascinating. It's this big fat question mark in the middle of Disney World.
What do you think then? Was it just a case of corporate laziness? Did they blow all their cash on Animal Kingdom and couldn't afford to keep this island running? Or is there something more to it?
Well, let's consider the possibilities. Maybe they just got bored with it. You know, they're always on to the next big thing, the next money-making scheme. Maybe they thought the island had run its course, squeezed all the profit they could out of it, and just decided to cut their losses.
Or maybe they've got some grand scheme in the works, some top secret project they're keeping under wraps until the time is right.
That's a possibility, too. They're pretty good at keeping secrets, those Disney folks. Or maybe, just maybe, they're letting nature reclaim the island, allowing it to return to its wild, untamed state.
A Disney-sponsored wildlife sanctuary. Now, that's an irony I can get behind.
Right. Who would have thought Mickey Mouse champion of the environment? But, you know, there's another theory out there, one that's a little more supernatural.
Supernatural, don't tell me you're going to start talking about ghosts and shit.
What can I say? I like a good ghost story. And you gotta admit, there's something inherently creepy about an abandoned island, especially one with a history like this. Some people believe that the island is haunted, that the spirits of all those mistreated animals are still roaming around seeking revenge.
Haunted by the ghosts of vultures and cranes sounds terrifying. But come on, ghosts, isn't that a bit far-fetched even for Disney?
I'm just saying it's a possibility. And you know what they say, where there's smoke, there's fire.
So what's the verdict then? Abandoned island, potentially haunted, maybe part of some secret Disney plot, or just a testament to corporate greed and laziness? But what's the moral of this whole Discovery Island saga?
Well, I think the takeaway here is that even the happiest place on Earth has its dirty little secrets beneath all the glitter and magic. There's a darker side to Disney, a history of exploitation, neglect, and maybe even a few restless spirits.
Deep, man. Deep, but also kind of depressing. I thought this was supposed to be a fun podcast about Disney World, not a goddamn horror movie.
Come on, a little darkness never hurt anyone. Besides, it's not all doom and gloom. Maybe Discovery Island is a reminder that even in the midst of manufactured fantasy, nature finds a way to reclaim what was lost. It's a symbol of resilience, of the enduring power of the wild.
Or maybe it's just a bunch of overgrown trees and crumbling buildings. Either way, pretty damn interesting story. So what do you say we wrap up this deep dive with a final thought?
Sounds good to me. What do you have in mind?
Well, for me, the whole Discovery Island thing just goes to show you that even the biggest, most powerful corporations can't completely control nature. They can try to tame it, package it, and sell it, but sooner or later it's going to break free and reclaim what's rightfully hers.
I like that it's a reminder that there are forces at play bigger than any corporation, even one as gigantic as Disney.
Right.
And maybe, just maybe, there's a little bit of hope in that.
Hope from a rotting, abandoned island. You're a goddamn optimist. I'll give you that.
Hey, a little optimism never hurt anyone, but you know, beyond the whole nature versus corporation thing, I think Discovery Island also makes us think about our own relationship with the past. You know, it's a relic of a different time, a time when maybe we weren't so aware of the impact we were having on the planet and its creatures.
Yeah, I get that it's like a physical manifestation of our own mistakes. A reminder that we can't just erase the past no matter how hard we try.
Right.
It's always going to be there lurking in the shadows.
Exactly. And sometimes their shadows can be pretty damn fascinating.
Damn right.
Yeah.
So what do you say to all those curious bastards out there who are now obsessed with this creepy-ass abandoned island? Where can they go to learn more, to delve into the mystery themselves?
Well, the internet is a treasure trove of information. As always, there are tons of photos and videos online, you know, people who've snuck onto the island and documented what's left.
Yeah.
It's like a real-life Disney mystery just waiting to be solved.
Yeah, those urban explorers, they're a different breed. Brave or maybe just stupid. I don't know.
Yeah.
But hey, if you're feeling adventurous, go ahead and do some digging of your own.
And if you come up with any crazy theories about what really happened to Discovery Island, be sure to let us know.
Oh, yeah.
We're always down for a good conspiracy theory, especially when it involves Disney.
Until next time, you magnificent bastards, stay curious, stay skeptical, and don't let those goddamn mouse ears fool you. There's always more to the story than meets the eye.